सहना भवतु सहनौ भुनक्तु सह वीर्यं करवावहै तेजस्विनावधीतमस्तु मा विद्विषावहै। ॐ शान्ति शान्ति शान्तिः। ॐ पूर्णमदः पूर्णमिदं पूर्णात् पूर्णमुदच्यते पूर्णस्य पूर्णमादाय पूर्णमेवावशिष्यते। ॐ शान्ति शान्ति शान्तिः। ॐ आप्यायन्तु ममाङ्गानि वाक्प्राणश्चक्षुश्रोत्रमथो बलमिन्द्रियाणि च सर्वाणि सर्वं ब्रह्म उपनिषदं माहं ब्रह्म निराकुर्याम् मा ब्रह्म निराकरोत्। अनिराकरणमस्त्वनिराकरणं मे अस्तु तदात्मनि निरते यौपनिषत्सु धर्मास्ते मयि सन्तु ते मयि सन्तु। ॐ शान्ति शान्ति शान्तिः। श्रुतिस्मृतिपुराणानाम् आलयं करुणालयं नमामि भगवत्पादं शङ्करं लोकशङ्करं शङ्करं शङ्कराचार्यं केशवं बादरायणं सूत्रभाष्यकृतौ वन्दे भगवन्तौ पुनः पुनः। ईश्वरो गुरुरात्मेति मूर्तिभेदविभागिने व्योमवद्व्याप्तदेहाय दक्षिणामूर्तये नमः। ओमित्येतदक्षरमुद्गीतमुपासीत ओमिति ह्युद्गायते तस्योपव्याख्यानम् So in this last sutra, bhoktarapattehe avibhagaschet syat lokavada, the Purva Paksha said that if you say that Brahma, which is Jagat Karanam, is non-dual, then Karyam, the effect also should be non-dual. In which case, the distinctions between the Bhokta and the Bhogya, as an example, the distinctions will be erased because the effect should be compatible or inconsistent with the cause. The cause is non-dual, effect also should not have duality. So bhoktarapattehe avibhagaschet, because of Brahman being non-dual, so tasmat prasiddhasyasya bhoktrubhogavibhagasya abhava prasangat, there will be abhava, an absence of this well-known distinction between the sentient and insentient, or knower and the known, basically. Ayuktamidam brahma karanata avadharanamiti. Therefore, it seems to be improper that you insist upon Brahman being the cause of creation, that Brahman that is non-dual is the cause of creation, ayuktam, it is not proper. Ijchet kastis chodayet. So here is the apparent contradiction between what the Shruti says and what we experience during perception. So perception and inference, this is the pramanam. That we perceive the distinctions between the bhokta, the enjoyer, and the enjoyed, which means that similar distinctions must be there in the material cause also. That's what we infer. So from the effect, we infer the nature of the cause. The effect, which is Jagat, has its distinctions. Therefore, the cause Brahman also should have distinctions. Whereas Shruti says this, Brahman is non-dual without distinctions. Therefore, based on now, there appears a contradiction between what the Shruti says and what we perceive. Earlier, the contradictions appearing between what the Shruti said and what the other thinkers like Sankhyas and Vaisheshikas said, those apparent differences were resolved by showing the defect in the thinking of the Sankhyas or Vaisheshikas. Now was taken up the discussion between the apparent contradiction between what we perceive, what we experience, and what the Shruti says. Then a tentative reply is given. Syat lokavad is not the Siddhanta, but is the apatata Siddhantamaha. A tentative reply is given. Syat lokavad iti. Let it be like what we experience in our day-to-day life. That just because the effect has distinction does not mean that the cause also should have distinction. Lokavat. Upadyate eva ayam asmat pakshepi vibhagah. In the Vedic paksha also, in the paksha of the Shruti, this vibhaga, the distinction between that we find in the product or the effect, upadyate, are also tenable. Evam loke drishtatvat, because this is what we also experience in our day-to-day life. Tatha, to illustrate, samudrad udakatmanah anyatvevi ananyatvevi tadvikaranam fenavichi taranga budbudadinam itaretar vibhagah. The cause is ocean, of which the water is the essence, but cause is ocean, and from that cause we have these different products of the effect, such as a wave, such as a ripple, such as a foam, such as bubble. All the different effects are there. Itaretar vibhagah. Each one of them retains its distinction. We can recognize a wave as wave, and foam as foam, and bubble as bubble. We have no difficulty. Itaretara samsleshadirakshanam vyavahara. And among them also there is vyavahara, interaction. Like one wave colliding against another wave, one wave separating from another wave. Thus this colliding, separating, this kind of the vyavahara also we see. Meaning that the manyness of the effect need not necessarily contradict the oneness of the cause, material cause. Nacha samudrat udakatmanah ananyatvevi tadvikaranam phenatanangadinam itaretar bhavapattir bhavati. It is not that even the ocean is the one material cause. Still, it doesn't happen that the wave becomes foam and foam becomes, bubble, etc. Itaretar bhavapati. It doesn't happen. They retain their distinctions. न च तेषाम् इतरेतर भाव अनापत्तोपि समुद्रात्मनः अनन्यत्वं भवति. So even though this wave etc. retain the distinction and still they are non-separate from ocean. So while retaining their distinctions, they still are non-separate from the ocean. That doesn't mean, that they become different from ocean. Evam ihapi न च भोक्तृभोग्ययोः इतरेतर भावापत्तिः. Similarly, in Darshtantika, in case of Brahman, Jagat Karanam, and this Jagat also, ihapi. न च भोक्तृभोग्ययोः इतरेतर भावापत्तिः. It is quite proper that the distinction between the Bhokta and the Bhogya, the enjoyer and the enjoyed, they are retained. One should not become the other one, should not become indistinguishable from each other. Just as the wave and the foam are not indistinguishable, so also the Bhokta Bhogya need not become indistinguishable for them to have Brahman as the cause. Now, continuing the page 372. Says Ratnaprabha, जीवस्य ब्रह्म विकारत्व अभावात् दृष्टान्त वैषम्यम इति शंकते. You see, what is drishtanta? Drishtanta is the ocean and the waves and the foam. The waves, the foam, the bubble, all of these are transformations or vikara, modifications of ocean. Now here we are talking about the Bhokta and the Bhogya. So Bhogya is this Jagat, Nam Rupatmakam Jagat, the universe of names and forms. That definitely is a vikara, is a modification of Brahman, definitely. But how about Bhokta? The Jiva is not modification of Brahman, Jiva is Brahman. So names and forms are the modification of Brahman, okay. In that sense, the example of the ocean and the waves is quite proper. But when it comes to explaining the distinction of this Bhokta being the effect of Brahman, Bhokta or the enjoyer or Jiva is not an effect of Brahman. Brahman is not become Jiva, is not a transformation of Brahman. Jivasya Brahma vikaratva bhavat drishtanta vaishamyam iti shankate. Therefore, your drishtanta of the ocean and the waves is not applicable with reference to Brahman and Jiva, because wave is a modification of ocean. Jiva is not a modification of Brahman, because Jiva is Brahman. Yadyapi, so Bhashyakara says the fourth line from the bottom. यद्यपि भोक्ता न ब्रह्मणो विकारः तत्सृष्ट्वा तदेवानुप्राविशत इति सृष्टुः एव अविकृतस्य कार्यानुप्रवेशेन भोक्तृत्वश्रवणात्. Yadyapi, even though Bhokta na Brahmano vikara, Bhokta means the Jiva, is not vikara, is not a modification of Brahman. Why is it so? Because Shruti says, Tat Srishtva Tadevanu Pravishata. Brahman or Ishvara, having created this Upadhi, entered the Upadhi, which means that the one who obtains as Jiva is none other than Brahman. So wave is a modification of ocean, but Jiva is not the modification of Brahman. That is true. In that aspect, the example of the wave, ocean and the wave, is not quite applicable. We accept. Yadyapi, even though that difference does remain. Then says Ratnaprabha, Aupadikam janmastiti tarangadi samyamaha. So it is true that ocean is born as wave and Brahman is not born as jiva. Ocean is modified as wave, Brahman is not modified as jiva. That is true, even though tathapi aupadikam janmasti. Still there is an as though janma. There is an as though janma, as though birth of the jiva. Meaning Brahman is born as jiva. How? Aupadikam. Because of the upadhi of this body-mind complex. So from the standpoint of the body-mind complex, the jivas appear as many, just as the waves appear as many. And therefore, you can say that Brahman is as though born as jiva. Therefore, tarangadi samyamaha. Therefore, the similarity between the waves and the jiva is shown here. That even though jivatma is not a product of Brahman or is not an effect of Brahman, Brahman is not born as jiva. And taranga is born from ocean. But still, because upadhi, that similarity is there. So tatha Bhashyakara says, this is what Nyayanirana also said, Fenadinam samudrakaryatvat tat abhedepi jivanam brahma akaryataya tat abheda ayogat asti vailakshanyam. Then again Nyayanirana says, Tarhi jiva brahmanoho atyanta abhedat bhoktru vibhage abhavat bhogyasyapi pratiniyam asiddhehe vibhaga avagahi pramana virodh tadavasthamiti ashankyaha. Because that tarhi jiva brahmanoho atyanta abhedat. See, ananyatvam is there. The wave is non-separate from ocean, but not is ocean. The relation is called ananyatvam. However, between Brahma and Jiva there is abheda, absolute there is one identity. Therefore, Jiva Brahmano atyanta abhedat bhoktru vibhaga abhavat. So there is no real bhokta. All there is Brahman. Bhogyasyapi pratiniyama asiddhehe. If bhokta is not the modification of Brahman, then even bhogya also is not modification of Brahman. Vibhaga avagahi pramana virodhat. So by that definition, there should not be distinction in bhogya also, but we perceive. Therefore, vibhaga avagahi pramana virodhat. Therefore, that virodha, that Upanishad has with perception continues to remain. So in spite of your giving example of ocean and the waves to explain the vibhaga in the karya of the product, still one aspect of this universe, namely bhokta, is not a vikara of Brahman. Therefore, we would think that even Jagat also is not a vikara of Brahman. But we find Jagat to be separate, the distinctions are there. Therefore, there is still now a contradiction between what the Upanishad says and pratyakshan, what we perceive. That means that virodha with pratyaksha continues to remain. So tathapi, Bhashyakara says, tathapi karyam anupravishtasya asti upadinimitto vibhagaha. आकाशस्य इव घटादे उपाधि निमित्तः इत्यतः तथापि even then कार्यम अनुप्रविष्टस्य उपाधि निमित्तो विभागः अस्ति. So say Ratna Baba, Vibhagah Janma. So you can say that Brahman is born as Jiva from the standpoint of Upadhi. So the standpoint from which we find distinctions in the universe are at the level of Upadhi. So from the standpoint of Upadhi of the body-mind complex, you can say Brahman is born as Jiva, Vibhagah Janma. Brahman is as though born as Jiva. Yadva tathapiti shabdeneva uktah parihara tathapi itself is parihara. Nanu bhoktu pratideham vibhaga kathamiti. How do you say that bhokta is different in every body? Says tathapi karyam anupravishtasya. Because Brahman has entered this karyam, Brahman has entered this body-mind sense complex. Syat upadhi nimitto vibhaga. There is as the vibhaga, distinction or birth of Brahman from the standpoint of the upadhi, the body-mind sense complex. आकाशस्यैव घटादि उपाधि निमित्तः इत्यतः. Just as space is born as ghatakasha, the space is entered like ghata, pata, etc. and therefore we have ghatakasha, patakasha. There are as though many distinct spaces. Even though the ghatakasha is not in essence different from Mahakasha, but still looking at it from the standpoint of Ghata, which is Upadhi, you can say that Ghatakasha, Karakakasha and so forth, Udanchanakasha, etc. So space in the pot, space in the plate, space in the jar, space, etc. So all these spaces are different. So akashasya ghatadi upadhi nimittah. Just as space can be said, it looks that ghatakasha is different from karakakasha, is different from other akashas, guhakasha, etc. So aupadhika vibhage phalitam upasamharate. Bhashyakara says, even though there is no real vibhaga, there is aupadhika vibhaga. There is no real janma, there is aupadhika janma. The space is as though born in the pot space because of the upadhi of pot. So also Brahman is as though born as jiva or bhokta because of the upadhi. So upasamharati ityatah. Bhashyakara says, ityatah paramakaranaat brahmanah ananyatvepi upapadyate bhoktrubhogya lakshano vibhagah samudra tarangadi nyayena iti uktam. Iti, therefore, paramakaranaat brahmanah ananyatvepi. Even though Jagat is non-separate from Paramakaranam, Brahma, which is the ultimate cause, there are many intermediate causes. Just as from Prakriti there is Mahat Tattva, ahankara, all the intermediate causes are there. Paramakaranam. Paramakaranam is Brahma. So Paramakaranat Brahmana Ananyatvepi. Even though Jagat is non-separate from Brahman, which is the ultimate cause, just as the waves, etc., are non-separate from ocean, Upapadyate, still tenable, Bhoktru Bhogya Lakshana Vibhaga, the distinction between Bhokta and Bhogya is quite tenable, quite in keeping with the reason. Just as it is so with reference to waves, etc. Samudra Tarangadi Nyayana iti uktam. So by the Nyaya, by the rule of Samudra and Taranga, the ocean and the waves, meaning that example, Drishtanta, is still applicable, not that it is not applicable. Says Ratnaprabha, Eka Brahma Abhinnatvevi Bhoktradehe Tarangadi Vat Bhed Angikarat Na Dvaita Bhane Dvaita Manene Advaita Samanyasya Virodha Ityartha. Eka Brahma Abhinnatvevi, even the Bhokta and Bhogya, both of them are non-separate from Brahman, which is one or non-dual. Undivided, important is undivided and indivisible. Sankhyas would say like Pradhanam, which consists of the three gunas, Sattva, Rajas, Tamas, that really deserves to be called the cause, because effect has divisions and cause also has them. If Brahman has no divisions, no internal divisions at all, so how can it give rise to creation having these internal divisions? Vedantin answer is because of Upadhi. So, a Upadhi that creates the distinction, and therefore, just because you see the distinctions does not mean that the distinctions are real. But here, that will be done in the next sutra. Here, the distinctions that we experience by perception are accepted. That yes, Bhokta is different, Bhogya is different, subject is different, objects are different, is accepted. And then also the illustration of Samudra and Taranga, that illustration is still equally applicable. Therefore, na dvaita manena advaita samanvayasya virodha ityartha. So dvaita manena, the pramanam, the perception, inference, etc., that are the pramanam, that are the means of knowledge that seem to reveal the duality. With them also the Brahman, which is non-dual, what Upanishad says, is not opposed. So this whole section is called Avirodha Adhyaya. The whole Adhyaya is called Avirodha. How other pramanas, how other means of knowledge do not, or Upanishad does not contradict, or I should say other way around, other means of knowledge do not contradict what the Upanishad says. The Sankhya does not contradict what Upanishad says. The Vaisheshika does not contradict what the Upanishad says. The perception also does not contradict what the Upanishad says. If you understand where these means of knowledge are coming from and where the Upanishad is coming from. Now we continue the next sutra. Says Ratnaprabha, Urvasminneva Urvapakshe Vivartavadena Mukhyam Samadhanamaha. Urvasminneva Purvapakshe, the earlier Paksha. Purvapaksha, what is the earlier Purvapaksha? That look, what the Upanishad reveals contradicts what the perception reveals, or reveals what the inference based on perception says. See, the expression that Bhashyakara used was or rather what the Ratna Prabha said is Tarka Sahita Bheda Pratyakshadena Virudhyate. Tarka Sahita Bheda Pratyaksha. So Pratyaksha is perception. The perception reveals Bheda or distinctions. From that we infer that the cause also must have distinctions. With that, what the Upanishad says, that Brahman is devoid of distinctions, the Upanishad seems to contradict this. That contradiction is resolved by in a tentative manner, by accepting the divisions. So accepting the same Purvapaksha again. Purvasminyo Purvapakshe Vivartavadena Mukhyam Samadhanamaha. Earlier Apatata Siddhantam. Earlier only a tentative answer was given. Even by our own example of Samudra and the wave, even then also this division can be explained. But now the Siddhanti says that in reality we do not even accept that example of the wave and the ocean. What we say is there is only water. So what is ocean also is water, and what is wave also is water, and therefore as far as we are concerned, the oceanness and waveness, both of these are superimpositions upon water, and therefore there is nothing but water at every stage. So Vivartavada means what? Superimposition. Earlier was accepted Parinamavada. The modification was accepted. Now the Vivartavada, the superimposition. Mukhya Samadhanamaha, the main Samadhanam or main reply is given here. Tad ananyatvam. So read the next sutra. Tad ananyatvam arambhana shabdadibhyah. Ananyatvam, non-difference or non-separatedness. With what? Of the cause and the effect. Tad ananyatvam. Tad karyasya jagatasya ananyatvam. Tad ananyatvam tasya ananyatvam. Tasya karyasya jagatah karanat brahmanat brahmana ananyatvam pruthak sattarahityam. You must know the difference between abheda and ananyatam. Abheda is the absolute identity. Ananyatvam is non-separatedness. Bhashyakara will explain that. So now the Sutrakara says that the Jagat or the universe is non-separate from Brahman, the cause. Meaning that Jagat does not have a satta or does not have existence apart from Brahman. Jagat or the universe does not enjoy an independent existence. Pruthak sattarahityam. Ananyatvam what? Ananyatvam means pruthak sattarahityam. The effect is non-separate from material cause. Effect does not enjoy satta or existence apart from that of the material cause. Kutah? On what basis do you say? Arambhana shabdadibhyah. Arambhana, origin, and similar words, similar passages. Arambhana shabdadibhyah vacharambhanam vikaro namadheyam mrityiketyeva satyam. From this and similar passages from Upanishads, where the word arambhana is used, vacharambhanam vikaro namadheyam mrityikayetyeva satyam. Vacha arambhanam. It is only speech as its origin. Speech as what? The part, the ghatapata, what are they? They have origin only in speech, not from clay. So ghata is not produced from clay. Ghata is produced from speech. Vacha arambhanam. Vikaro namadheyam. Whatever is called vikara or modification, such as a pot, is created from what? Not from clay. Is created from speech. Namadhayam, it exists only in name. It's a very fantastic thing, to say that this pot is created not from clay, it's created merely from speech, and therefore it exists only in name. Doesn't have existence other than clay, because take away the clay from the pot and no pot remains there. Therefore, even when the pot is there, it is nothing but clay. So what is pot? Only has its origin in the speech, only in the name. Aitadatmidam sarvam tat satyam sa atma. All of this as Sat as the Atma. And that alone is Satyam, that alone is truth, that alone is Atma, and that thou art. Meaning that all of this as Sat as the Atma. All of that includes the Bhokta and Bhogya. The whole universe as only Sat as the Atma. None of them is separate from Sat. They do not enjoy an existence apart from Sat. Brahmaiva idam sarvam. Idam sarvam Brahmaiva. All of this is nothing but Brahma. Ityadi shabdebhyah. Shabda means passage here. From this and other passages, it is very clear that Jagat is Mithya and Brahma is Satyam. That is being said in this after 13 sutras, in which the tentative difference was accepted, and then also the objections are refuted. The first 13 sutras, the objections of the opponents were refuted, accepting the Jagat as what is perceived. Now all of them are refuted based on what the Vedanta basically says, that Jagat is merely a projection, is merely an appearance and not a reality. So far, accepting Jagat as reality, the refutations were made. Now it is said that Jagat in fact is not a reality. Says Vashyakara. Now we have to read the other thing, Vaiyasika Nyayamala. Bheda bhedau तात्विकौ स्तः यदि वा व्यावहारिकौ समुद्रादाविव तयोः बाधा भावेन तात्विकौ. So this Purva Paksha is not even explained. Spashtah spashtau sandeha Purva Paksha. So what is again the Vishaya? Samandvaya is the Vishaya. What is Sandeha? Bheda bhedau tatvikau stha yadi va vyavaharikau. This Bheda and Abheda. The Bheda, the distinctions between the waves and foam, etc., and Abheda, the non-separatedness with ocean. So as cause, there is Abheda, as effect, there is Bheda, as cause, there is non-separation, as effect, there is separation. This was accepted in the previous sutra. Tattvikaustha. But these are they the absolute reality? That as cause they are one, as effect they are many. Is that the ultimate Vedanta Siddhanta? Vyavaharikau, or they are only Vyavaharikau means Mithya. That this distinction in the effect and non-distinction in cause, this is merely a Vyavaharika, meaning that this is empirical. It's not the ultimate reality. So this doubt, this Bheda that we experience, is it Vyavaharika, merely empirical, Tattvika, or is it absolute? Then the Purva Paksha. Samudrado iva tayoho bhada abhavena tatvikau. See, by the example of the samudra, ocean and the waves, tayoho bhada abhavena. So by the illustration of the ocean and the waves, the distinctions, they stand. And therefore, Tattviko, Purupakshi says that this distinction that we see between Bhokta and Bhogya, or all the duality that we see, is Tattviko. As cause, they are one. As effect, they are many. That is Tattviko. That is what the ultimate reality is. This is Vishishtadvaita, by the way. The Vishishtadvaita would say that as cause, they are one. As effect, they are many. Then, what is the Siddhanta or the Uttar Paksha? Bhadato Shuddhi Uktibhyam Tavato Vyavahariko. Bhadito. This Bheda Bhedo. Bheda, distinction as the effect. Abheda, non-distinction as a cause. Bhadito, they are negated. Shruti Yuktibhyam, by the Shruti and by the Yukti, by both of them, this idea of Bheda Bheda, this is Bheda Bheda Vada, by the way. And so all of this already discussed, by the way. Whatever philosophies came up later on, have been in one way or the other already dealt with, and still these arguments or the vision given by Bhashyakara is not accepted by the subsequent acharyas. Shruti Yuktibhyam Bhadito, but Shruti does not accept any duality. And Yukti also will show how duality is not real. Tavato Vyavahariko. Therefore, this Bheda and Abheda is Vyavahariko, is only empirical and not absolutely real. Then what is real? Karyasya Karana Abhedat. We say that the Karya, the effect, has no separate existence from Karanam or the material cause. Advaitam Brahma Tatvikam. Therefore, Brahman, which is Advaitam, non-dual, is Tatvikam, is the absolute reality. Bheda Bheda is not the ultimate reality. It is a tentative reality, Vyavaharika reality. It is empirical reality. But Brahman, which is non-dual, is a Tattvika, Paramadhik Satta, ultimate reality. Therefore, Vedanta accepts these three Sattas, Paramadhika, Vyavaharika and Pratibhasika. So yes, as far as Jagat is concerned, as far as the distinctions between the Bhokta and Bhogya are concerned, we do accept that they have some reality, which is what we call the Vyavaharika Satta, or the empirical reality they have, but they are not the ultimate reality. Ultimate reality is Brahman, one without a second. So, this our Vaiyasika Nyayamala says, Neha nanasti kinchana iti shruti bhedam bhadate bhadito shruti yuktibhyam. The effect is many. Cause is one and effect is many. That if manyness of the effect is negated by the Upanishad. Neha nanasti kinchana. Very clearly say that Iha Brahmane kinchana nana nasti. Here in Brahman there is no duality whatever. Iti shrutehe bhedam bhadate. This passage of the Shruti bhadate negates the distinction even that is apparent in the effect. That Bhokta Bhogya Bheda is not there. Earlier that distinction was accepted and the reply given. Now it says that distinction is not there at all. Yuktischa, by yukti also. Paraspara upamardatmakayoho bheda bhedayoho ekatra asambhavaha. Paraspara upamardatmakayoho. Since bheda and abheda are mutually exclusive. If bheda is there, abheda cannot exist. If abheda is there, bheda cannot be. So bheda and abheda, both of them cannot exist in one location. In one reality, bheda and abheda, these two contradictory aspects, cannot coexist. Therefore, Yukti also says that in one reality, bheda and abheda are not tenable. Ekasmins chandramasi dvitva asambhavat. Because in one chandrama there cannot be two. Even though somebody says that when I look at it, it is two. When this fellow looks at it, it is one. The two also is right and one also is right. Cannot be. Moon cannot be simultaneously one as well as two. So reality cannot be bhinna and abhinna. So oneness and manyness cannot coexist in one reality. Yaduktam purvadikarane. What was said in the earlier adhikarana, which was earlier sutra. Bhoktrapatte avibhagaschet syad lokavata. In that adhikaranam. Akara bhedat bhedaheti. That wave has one akara. The bubble has another akara. The foam is third akara. Ocean is another akara. Ocean is one akara, one form. The wave is another form. The bubble is another form. So akara bhedat bhedaheti. Therefore, the wave and the foam and the bubbles are different from each other because they appear different. Tadapi asata. That also is not right. Advaita vastuni akara bhedasyeva apratipattehe. In fact, what is only one? There is no such thing as Jagat other than Brahman. Advaita vastuni. In Vastu, the reality which is Advaita, which is non-dual. Non-dual, non-separate, undivided, indivisible. Akara bhedasya apratipattehe. In Brahman, how can there be akara bheda? That Brahman is cause and Brahman is effect. As cause it is one, as effect it is many. How can it be? So Samudra is one as cause and many as waves. Brahman is one as cause, many as Jagat. That kind of akara bheda is apratipatte. You can't even see that. In Brahman, you cannot show it. You cannot prove that kind of duality in Brahman. Samudradau tu drishtvatvat abhivagamyate. In ocean, etc., because we see that ocean is one, wave is another one, foam is another one, therefore we accept that there is a bheda, akara bheda, or distinctions of form. Nahi drishte anupannam nama iti nyayat. Because the rule is that what you perceive cannot be dismissed by reasoning. You perceive that ocean is here, this is ocean, this is wave, this is bubble, this is foam. But you cannot extend that logic to Brahman, because Brahman is beyond logic. Atrabi brahmakara jagadakara drashto. Somebody says here also same thing. The ocean is one akara, wave is another akara. So Brahman is one akara, Jagat is another akara, why not? We see that distinctions. So if the akara or the shapes or forms of ocean and waves are different, therefore you accept the difference between them, then we say that Brahman is one akara, non-dual, and Jagat another akara, duality. Therefore, you have to accept that distinction also. In the Ched, if that is your argument, answer is na. Brahmana Shastraika Samadhigamyatvad. Where have you seen different akara of Brahman? Did you see Brahman's akara? Brahman is not perceptible. Shastraika Samadhigamyatvad. Brahman can be only available. Brahman is available or is known only through Shastra and not through perception or inference or any other means of knowledge for that matter. Brahman can be known only through Shastra. Tasmat Shruti Yukti Bhaditvat Vyavahariko Bheda Bhedo. So all the 4 verses are explained briefly. Therefore, Shruti Yukti Bhaditatvat. Therefore, Bheda Bhedavat Shruti Yukti Bhadito. They are negated by both Shruti as well as Yukti. Therefore, Vyavaharika Bheda Bhedo. They only have Vyavaharika Satta, only an empirical reality and not absolute reality. Kim Tari Tattvam, alright. If this is only Vyavaharika, then what is absolute? Kim Tahi Tattvam. If according to you, this difference and non-difference in Brahman and Jagat is not the reality, then what's the reality? Iti chet Advaiteva Tattvam iti Brumaha. We say that Advaitam, non-duality, is the only reality. That's what we have to say. Karyasya Karana Anatirekena Karanamatrasya Vastutvad. Because Karyasya Karana Anatirekena, Karyam, the effect is non-separate from the material cause, and therefore Karanamatrasya Vastutvad. Only the cause itself is real, effect is not separate from the cause. By cause we mean the material cause. तथा च श्रुति मृत्तिकादि दृष्टान्तैः कारणस्यैव सत्यत्वं प्रतिपादयति. So last line explain now. कार्यस्य कारणाभेदात् अद्वैतं ब्रह्मतात्विकम्. That 4th line is explained now. किं तर्हि तत्त्वमिति चेत् अद्वैतमेव तत्त्वमिति ब्रूमः. कार्यस्य कारण अनतिरेकेण कारणमात्रस्य वस्तुत्वात्. Because effect does not exist apart from cause, therefore the material cause alone is vastu, is the reality. तथा च श्रुति मृत्तिकादि दृष्टान्तैः कारणस्यैव सत्यत्वं प्रतिपादयति. तथा च श्रुति, and the Upanishad, Chhandogya Upanishad in this particular case, mrittikadi drishtantaihi, by the illustration of clay, etc. So ekena lohamanina, ekena nakhanikuntanena, ekena mritpindena. So by these examples, karanasya satyatvam pradipādayati. Mrittika ityeva satyam. The mrittika, the material cause alone is real, and vikaro namadhayam. What is called vikara or modification, such as a part, is only name, doesn't have reality more than name. यथा सौम्य एकेन मृत्पिंडेन सर्वं मृन्मयं विज्ञातं स्यात् वाचारम्भणं विकारो नामधेयं मृत्तिकेत्येव सत्यम् एवं सौम्य स आदेशः इति. यथा सौम्य एकेन मृत्पिंडेन, O good looking one, just as by one clod of earth, sarvam mृन्मयं विज्ञातं स्यात्. When you know the clay, then everything that is made of clay is as well known. Why is it so? Vacharambhanam vikaro namadhayam. What's called vikara, what's called modification? Vacharambhanam has origin only in speech. Namadhayam exists only in name. Mrittika ityeva satyam. Mrittika iti. Idea is that mrittika is not satyam. But in this illustration of the modification, the clay means the material cause is satyam. Mrittika ityeva satyam means the material cause is real. Don't say that the Upanishad says that clay is real. No. By clay is meant the material cause, the ultimate cause. Evam Somya sa adesha. Hey Somya, that's how the adesha, the upadesha is. Yena ashrutam shrutam bhavati amatam matam avijñātam vijñātam iti katham sa adesha syāt. How can it be? This is how it is. Asya ayam artha. What does this Shruti passage mean? Praudho mrutpinda karanam. A big lump of clay is the karanam, is the material cause. Tad vikara gata sharavadaya. Vikara or vikara. So vikaro namadaya. What is vikara? What's the modification? Gata sharavadaya. The pot and the plates, etc. are the modifications of this lump of clay. Tatra mrudvastu anyata ghatadini cha anyani vastuni iti targikaha manyante. With reference to the clay and the pots, what do the Nayayikas believe? Or what do they think? Tatra mrudvastu anyata. The Nayayikas say that mrudvastu, that clay is one vastu, is one reality. Ghatadini cha anyani vastuni, and pots, etc. are separate realities. Iti tarkikaha manyante. This is what the Tarkikas, Nayayikas say, because they accept the world as real. That's why it is right, that the world is real, and this world did not have existence in the cause. That's what they say. So asatkaryavadina again. Tatra ghatadinam prusag vastutva nirasaya. Why did the Upanishad use the word vikara? Why did the Upanishad give this example and use the word vikara? Vacharambram vikaro namadem. Why? Keeping those fellows in mind. Who are the other fellows? Nayayikas. Tatra ghatadinam prusag vastu nirasaya. That ghata, sharava, etc., they are not the separate real entities. Prusag vastutva nirasaya. They do not stand as real entities apart from clay. To refute the ideas that pots, etc., are different from clay, we refute that idea. Vikara shabdena Shruti tani udaharati. So Shruti has not used the word ghata or sharava. Shruti has used the word vikara. So by the word vikara, all ghata etc., which are thought by the Nayayikas as separate from clay, are indicated by the word vikara. So Nayayikas say that the clay is one thing, pot is another thing. Clay is one reality, pot is another reality. Why do you say that? If you ask him, he says, look, you can fill water in pot. Can you fill water in clay? You can carry water in the pot. Can you carry water in the clay? And therefore, pot is not clay and clay is not pot. Two independent entities. Thus the Nayayikas accept the pot as an independent entity, independent of the clay. All these pots and the plates and the all other jars and whatever is made of the clay, all of these are indicated by the word vikara. Tad vikara ghata sharavadaya. So all the pots, etc., all of these are indicated by the Shruti by the word vikara or modification. Mrudvastunah vikaraha. What is vikara? Samsthana visheshaha ghatadaya na prasag vastu bhutaha. Here, what is it that you call pot? Is nothing but a different arrangement of clay. Clay particles in one arrangement are called the mrutpinda, or a clay, a lump of clay. What is lump? The clay particles arranged in a particular manner. What's a pot? The same clay particles arranged in a different manner. So what you call effect is nothing but samsthana vishesha, just a different arrangement of the material cause and not a new entity. There is nothing new here. Same stuff is there. Gives example here. Na prasak vastu bhutaha, therefore pot is not a separate entity, is not a new entity. Yatha devdattasya balya yauvana sthavirade tadvada. This is just as Devadatta is a child, is a young man, is an old man. It's not a different Devadatta. That child is one arrangement of Devadatta. Better example would have been Devadatta sitting and walking and running. So lying down Devadatta is one, sitting Devadatta is another one, standing Devadatta is yet another one, walking Devadatta. Are they all different Devadattas or what? They are all different arrangements, of the one same person. So samsthana visheshaha ghatadaya. The only configurations are different. One configuration of Devadatta is called lying Devadatta. Other configuration is called sitting Devadatta. A third configuration is called standing Devadatta. A fourth configuration is called running Devadatta. All different configurations. And similarly also, what we call the pot and the plate and the jar are nothing but different configurations of the same clay. Therefore, na prasak vastu bhutaha, a sitting Devadatta is not different from Devadatta, is not from standing Devadatta. They are not different in reality. Akara bheda is there. As far as form is concerned, they are different from each other. A lying Devadatta has a form different from a sitting Devadatta, has a form different from a standing Devadatta. In form they are different, but in Vastu they are not different. So these fellows give too much of form. A sitting Devadatta cannot do what a lying Devadatta does. All right. To them, the Vyavahara is very important. The usefulness is very important. What purpose they serve is very important. Vedantin says it is not the purpose that determines the reality, it is the reality. What is non-negatable, that's what determines the reality. What is the essence, that determines reality and not the use of something. Sati ghatadiyakar pratibhasa dashayamapi mrunmatram swatantram vastu. Even though ghatadiyakar pratibhasa dashayamapi, even though you see different akaras form, such as a pot, such as a jar, etc., so pratibhasa, appearance of different forms is there. Even then, mrunmatram swatantram vastu, the real independent essence in all of them is only clay. Whereas the pot and a jar are not independent entities, they are not entities at all. In fact, according to Vedanta, they are not entities. Independent, forget it. They are not entities. Vacharambanam, they origin in the speech and they are only in name, nothing more than that. Tataha buddhi avagatayam ghatadinam yat tatvikam swarupam tat saram avagatam. Tata, therefore, buddhi avagatayam, when the clay is known, then ghatadina yat tatvikam swarupam, therefore whatever is the essence of ghata, etc., is already known, tat saram avagatam. So whether it's a pot or a jar or a plate, when you know the clay, you have known the essence of all of these modifications. So then a question is asked. You know the essence already. Akara vishesho na jnayate ched. You have known the essence of pot, but you have not known the other details of the pot. What's the volume of the pot? What's the weight of the pot? What is the cost of the pot? You don't know all of that thing. You just know the clay. But other things are not known. How do you say you know the pot? Ma jnayatam nama. Let them not be known. Even if you do not know what is specific gravity and what's the volume and what's the weight and what's the cost etc. Let it not be known. Tesham avastu bhutanam ajjignasarhatvad. Vedanta says, in my mind that question does not arise. Vedanta says, in my mind, what is the akara, what is the volume, what's the weight, that question does not arise. Like Bada Swamiji was telling us, that when he once was having darshan of Badrinathji, standing in front of Badrinath and having darshan, so one Western person standing beside Swamiji asked him, "Hey, from what stone is this made?" He says, "What? What stone?" That question does not arise. This is Bhagavan. As far as my mind is concerned, I look upon this as Bhagavan. A stone, the question doesn't arise. Depends on where your mind is. Vedanta says our mind is in reality. These kind of details don't matter. They don't even occur to us. Therefore, avastu bhutana, only vastu is jignasarhatvam. Has jignasarhatvam means what? Only vastu deserves to be inquired into, but avastu, they are all incidental stuff. What is essential is really what counts. Rest of these are incidental. And therefore, Vedanta, in our mind, those things do not even cause any questions. That never occurred to me. Oh, you have to know that also? It didn't occur to me at all. Chakshusha pratibhasamanaha api vikaraha nirupitaha santah mrudvyatirekena na swarupam kinchin labhante. Chakshusha pratibhasamanaha api vikaraha. Even though the vikaras, the modifications, the forms are evident to the eyes, we accept that eyes does recognize this object as a pot, other object as a jar, a third object as a plate. True. Nirupitaha santah. If you stop only at that level, then yes, they are all different from each other. Nirupitaha santah. But when you really inquire into what is the pot, and what is the jar, and what is the plate, nirupitaha santah. Mrudvyatirekena na swarupam kinchit labhante. They are found to be having no swarupa other than mrut or other than clay. When you really inquire into what is the reality about this. Ghatoyam sharavayam idi vang nishpadya nadhe matram labhante. Therefore, all they remain is what? This is a pot, and this is a plate, and this is a jar. That's the only thing that there is other than clay. Take away the clay, then nothing remains there. Idi. Okay, we'll continue, complete it tomorrow. Om Purnamadah Purnamidam Purnat Purnamudachyate Purnasya Purnamadaya Purnameva Vashishyate. Om Shanti Shanti Shanti. Shankaram Shankaracharyam Keshavam Badarayanam Sutra Bhashya Krutau Vande Bhagavanto Punah Punah Ishvaro Gururatmeti Murti Bheda Vibhagine Vyomavad Vyapta Dehaya Dakshinamurtaye Namaha. Om Shanti Shanti Shanti. Hari Om. Shri Gurubhyo Namaha. Hari Om.